Hey, this is Mike's big brother, Kelly. Recently, Mike and the boys came to visit us in southeast Arizona. This was his boys' first trip to our area, so Mike and I took some time to tell the boys about the desert plants we encountered. This video is a collection of those moments from our 4-hour hike around Frye Mesa Reservoir near Safford, Arizona.
So we've never been to Arizona before, my brother and I. There's a tree here that I've actually carved this wood before, this kind of wood before, but I've never seen the tree until now. It's called cat's claw. It's an acacia tree, and the thorns on this thing are hooked and tiny. So when you get hooked, it's hooked in. So if you try to pull it out, it doesn't really work. So you have to grab that and push in towards the plant, and you can get out that way.
So you've got to kind of push your hand into it so you can't get pricked. Gotta grab it, pull it down. I like to twist it. Ow, again. Okay. And yeah, so that's a yucca stalk. They're good for walking sticks. That's kind of like the seed.
All right.
So what do you want that yucca stick for?
Aren't we using it for our hand drill set?
Fourth wall, fourth wall. Never stamp the fourth wall.
Oh, here's another one that's similar to pear grass. And this stuff has like razor edges on it. If you were to grab it and drag your hand across it, it'll cut you on these edges. They don't look like much, but when you get real close to them, they're serrated. Let's see if we can get a close-up one for the camera. Can you get super close-up macro on that? On the edges?
I don't think you can see the edges, but
yeah.
Maybe.
Anyway, it's like a microscopic saw blade there that really can cut you bad.
I can see it with my bare eye, but...
Cut yourself and then we'll be able to see.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay, go.
I'm busy eating my survival food that I captured in the wild.
Oh, right. From a Ritz plant.
Yep. It's pretty rare. So this is a nasty little plant here. It's got the spines on it, which interestingly enough,
They're barbed.
you can slide out on them like this, but you can't reach in, which is a weird thing I've never understood. Usually things try to grab onto you, and these ones actually push you away. You can also use these really effectively as cordage. They're harder to get the fibers out of because you've got to deal with the thorns, but you can cut the thorns off and then get to the fibers pretty easily. Pretty sweet plant. They've also got the nice long leaves on them, so the fibers you're dealing with when you do make rope with it are nice long fibers, so you have fewer splices. Wow. It is a sweet one.
What's it feel like? Ooh.
Right over there, prickly pear. Right up here at Jacob.
It's kind of scary to be sitting next to this.
Yeah. Check out the spines on those.
It's like a green tree cactus.
I can't even get it all in from here. What was that?
Almost fell. My hand landed right where there were no spines.
Those are some wicked thorns. Yeah, those are nice and sharp. Ow.
Oh, and in case you're wondering, that's pronounced ocotillo.
There looks like there's some sap coming out of it. I guess that's from a wound. It got ripped away. Wonder if we can use that sap for anything, for our fire we're gonna have. Looks like probably not.
So this is an interesting thing right here. It grows on oak, usually, and I don't know for sure what it is or how it's formed. I've heard some people say that it's a fungus. I've heard other people say that it happens when a wasp stings the oak. So I don't know for sure what the truth of the matter
Hey,
is.
this is Kelly again. I looked this up after we got home and found out that it's called an oak gall, and it's formed when a stingless wasp lays an egg on an oak tree. The egg irritates the bark and causes this wooden bubble to grow, which protects the larva like an eggshell. For thousands of years, oak galls have been thought to have a wide variety of medical properties, likely because of the mysterious way they're formed. The use Mike had heard of was that the stringy part inside can act as a blood coagulant, but online sources say that's not true.
So this one's a century plant, and you can see it's got these really, really sharp points. Feel those points.
I don't want it.
Feel it. Feel it. Don't fall into it. Ridiculously sharp
Wow,
points.
that's like razor sharp.
Exactly, yeah. It'll just pierce right through stuff. And you can use that because these also are full of fibers, just like the yucca. And so there's something you can do with that that's pretty darn sweet. So you just want to kind of cut through the outer portion of this, but not all of it, because there's some cool fibers in there. And you can pull it out like that, and then you have a needle and thread. So you can stitch things up, make repairs to your clothing, or whatever you need to do. Now obviously on this one, you'd have to kind of thin this down a little bit so that the needle would go through your material easier. But isn't that cool? It's a whole bunch of little individual strands that are really quite strong, and you can use them to make good repairs. I knew a guy that sewed up a hole in his jeans with these, and it lasted him 6 years, I think. As long as the jeans lasted, the repair lasted. Anyway, kind of cool, huh? And you can actually get more strings if you don't cut through half of them like I did. I cut through too many strings there when I used my knife. One way that guys like to do it is to bite it. So what you can do is be real careful of the tip there. You want to keep it sharp because the idea is to use it as a needle and thread. But if you just bite through it, you can not cut through the fibers as much. You don't want to swallow that because it tastes nasty and it's a little bit poisonous. Boy, that's really in there. So that one was much better. Got much more material on that one, and the rim around the top there is smaller. So that's super useful for using it to make. And you know, the needle and thread thing is cool, but you can also use that for anything that you could use normal cordage for. For instance, you could use these fibers, you know, put 3 or 4 of them together and twist them into a tiny string and use it to make like fishing line. And it's still pretty reasonably strong, but you definitely need a few fibers together to give it real strength. This is another century plant similar to that one that we just got the string out of, but this one has already run its course. So they shoot up this stalk, and the stalk grows all in 1 year, all in one season. It just shoots up really fast. and then the plant dies after it shoots up its stalk. And the seed pods up there, see all those seeds falling down? That's how they spread, is those seed pods open up and then the wind grabs those seeds out of the pods as they're just sitting in there and it blows them along.
They're called the century plant because they don't shoot up a stalk every year. But then some used to think that it was every 100 years that they'd shoot up a stalk.
So standing next to this thing, I'm about 6'2", and this thing is about 3 times my height. So this is looking at 18 to 20 feet tall right here. And some of them get even bigger than that, but it's kind of interesting, the whole life cycle. We saw one before it shot up a stalk, and we saw another that had already done its stalk, and this one's an old one. And you can see how big it is, and this was probably its daddy over here next to it that's already dead.
I just broke it, I'm sorry.
And you can see the pithy center on the stalk.